Well, good afternoon and welcome back to the second hour of the show. My guest today is Gordon Duff, Senior Editor of Veterans Today. And now, Gordon, as promised, it's time to go tinfoil hat for the listeners. So we might as well disclose this and let the cats out of the bag.
Okay. This is not easy. Discussing what we is, a working group has been put together that involves individuals from major defense corporations, NASA, several U.S. and foreign intelligence agencies that are tasked with, we can't call it a disclosure project. It's something we've gone well beyond this. There is more than minor reliable information, and this has come in particular. I've spoken about UFO issues several times, and I've also admitted that over a career working in intelligence, I have spent on let's say hard evidence of UFOs between 2 and 3 hours, 2 hours, I don't know. I had discovered to my own dismay that I'm the only member of Majestic that has ever admittedly come forward. was told that I'm probably shouldn't do that, but it's a little late anyway. As of 1977, the United States government, as of the late summer of 77, had in place diplomatic treaties with 3 alien species. The United States had taken on technology by that time that I was officially made aware of through what were then classified documents that apparently are still classified, that the U.S. had taken on anti-gravity technologies and had developed capabilities that didn't parallel what our current space program is, but in fact exceeded it, had developed energy capabilities that were in particular being developed at that time and soon afterward, that greatly exceeded even our nuclear capability, that energy weapons not only exist, but are deployed that make our largest nuclear weapons look like a walk in the park, that space weapons have long been deployed, not just nuclear weapons, but energy weapons, and that when President Reagan went before the United Nations and spoke in a speculative tone about the risks of what if an alien species were going to invade planet Earth, how would that pull us together, and how would that change the dynamic of how we all work together? And I'll see if I can dig that one up and play it while we're doing this. Well, Reagan was taken as though he were being he were casually suggesting this, and perhaps being few people had the currency to spend as far as popularity and credibility that Reagan had. He was a very popular individual. Well, Reagan was either talking out of one of his other orifices or understating an exceedingly serious problem that he was made aware of. Michael, while I searched YouTube, jump in.
Well, Gordon, there's that's all what's happened in the past, and you and I have been having dialogue amongst ourselves and others about what is occurring present time. We one thing that the listeners are aware of is that during the late 1980s, the Star Wars project, as it was called, we spent trillions of dollars on that, and we're not showing any technology for it. Yet you and I both know that those technologies exist. They've been deployed, and they've been repressed and or withheld.
I've got a 29-second clip. We'll see how close this comes.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
That's we need some, and I'm stopping that. YouTube has that wonderful ability to play continually. Some of the things that we have received multiple verifications on, and you can help fill in the blanks, because we're starting with the mosaic, and a mosaic is made out of I'm put in a position here. I'm talking to an audience on radio. I'm with Veterans Today. Veterans Today is not a publication intended for general reading. We're a military and intelligence publication that anyone can read who chooses, and we have a large readership for that reason. Frankly, I'm surprised anyone goes there, because we're generally a very dry publication. Very few nudie photos, although occasionally, but no celebrity news, very few comics. On the other hand here, we've been made aware that the United States government has a series of technologies that it doesn't admit to. Among those technologies are not only the ability to build massive facilities underground, to drill underground at the rate of 7 to 10 miles per day, 40-foot tunnels, but we've had that capability since 1992, that the United States is honeycombed with a system of tunnels and underground bases, that those underground bases are connected through trains that move at speeds up to Mach 3, that there are people within this country who are spending their lives underground. We have a second population. If only I were making that up, I'd love that to be the case. That the people of the United States are going to, at some time, be made aware in the most falsified terms imaginable that there is an alien presence on this planet. What we're not going to be told is that not all of it is humanoid. Some of it is. Some of it has been among us for some time. How many aliens are living on this planet, we don't know, but we know some things. We know that, for instance, the United States has a project going where the entire country is being carefully gauged as to what its ultimate agricultural productivity can be, whether the United States and other areas in the world are capable of increasing agricultural production tenfold in order to feed alien races that may bring to Earth tens or hundreds of millions of human beings by our standards, and in some cases, things that are very, very far from human beings at all. We know two areas in particular, that sub-Saharan Africa is being targeted for large-scale colonization. We know the Pacific Basin is being equally targeted.
Okay, well, Gordon, this will give us a chance to collect our thoughts and where to take this next. We've got our break coming up here. We'll be right back with some more tinfoil hat stuff, except, folks, this is real. It's not tinfoil hat. Be right back. Well, good afternoon. Welcome back. This is Mike Harris on the Jeff Rense Radio Network, and it is March 20th, 2013. My guest today is Senior Editor of Veterans Today, Gordon Duff. And, Gordon, you're telling some people some new stuff that's never been put out there before, so I want to let you go and just run with whatever you need to on this.
Let me do this. Why don't we just do this? We can head into my kitchen, turn on the garbage disposal, and push my right arm into it, and that would be a kindness. We have put together a group, and the reason we're doing this as a group, frankly, is because any one of us individually is too much at risk. So I'm going to people who are willing to stick their necks out, who are within the active military, top retired military, senior intelligence officers, and senior people within intelligence agencies that have become aware. And we had this talk about mosaic, and I've got to try to surround this for you, who become aware of part of what's going on. We have been, some individuals are aware of the alien presence in the Pacific Basin, how it has affected all of the nations in the Pacific Basin, how that's being kept from us. Others are aware within NASA why we haven't returned to the moon, and of discoveries on Mars that are not being made public. Others among us are aware that the United States has built spacecraft of tremendous capability right out of Star Trek. I can say that I have personally examined one of those craft, although not the most current model. We have photographic documentation of the highest imaginable quality, and that's an understatement, of not only alien UFOs operating within specific military districts in the U.S. and elsewhere, but of American and other Earth-based and we're saying possibly even interstellar craft. And we have documentation on those. Absolute photographic evidence that has already withstood the most extreme scrutiny imaginable. And as Michael would say, Michael, have we had a little pushback on that already?
Oh, we've had more than a little pushback. We've had some downright shoves.
Yes. We've had, the supposed bad people tell us that we're not allowed to do this, and we're going to take them as far as necessary. They can work with us, or certainly if people have the power, they can kill all of us. But the fear I have, my worst fear, is that we have races that are looking on planet Earth as, I call it, a farm. One of our senior members has used the term ranch is more appropriate. We have evidence that our own government has allowed numbers of people to have been taken and used as food. And the numbers, when I deal with the numbers that I know are there, and this, Michael and I have talked about this before. I've talked about it with Jeff Rense. Once on Coast to Coast here with George Norrie. The numbers are very large. The numbers are disturbingly large. The reality of this, how pervasive it is, what is being kept from us, and it goes even further. We're here with banks empty of money and unemployment and kids growing hungry, and we have available technologies long developed with enough free energy that could certainly, let's take Africa for instance. We have the availability of energy to pour millions and millions of gallons of purified fresh water into retention areas within the Sahara Desert and to restore a massive aquifer there, far beyond the imaginations of the one that Libya was accessing, to restore to full agricultural production the entire Sahara, the entire Sahel, areas of the western United States, Middle East, China. We have the energy to do it. We have the free energy. We have the free energy to eliminate the use of all hydrocarbons. No more gas station, no more heat bill, no more electric bill, no more any of this. Free transportation, everything you buy made with free energy. The
and
price.
Gordon, then there's no more cash cow for the energy cabal, which really runs this world. It would cause such an economic disruption, and that's what they're fighting. They're trying to protect their own franchise, if you will.
At the price of not just costing us well, I look at this. I look at 1970. I'm living my 1970 life. Other than the fact that I'm on a computer and I've got a telephone that I can use as a flashlight, and a car that's got a couple of turbochargers on it instead of two carburetors, I'm in 1970 right now.
Okay, well, hang on, because we'll be right back. I hear our break music in the background, and this is our short break at the bottom of the hour. Folks, we'll be right back. More with Senior Editor of Veterans Today, Gordon Duff. Be right back. Well, good afternoon. Welcome back. This is Mike Harris on the Jeff Lentz Radio Network. Today is March 20th, 2013. My guest today is Senior Editor of VeteransToday.com, Gordon Duff. Gordon, welcome back. And before this, we were talking about how the planet Earth is really a big ranch. And so how much detail you want to go into with this for folks?
That as early as 1977, I had seen classified government documentation directly through employment that had verified that the U.S. was turning tens of thousands of people per year over to an alien race for experimentation. Experimentation isn't the word, for vivisection and other purposes. And now what I'm getting more verification of is that there are more alien races involved, and that almost everything that we're watching on TV shows is come to pass. And let's take MJ12 is reflected very directly in the show X-Files. More specifically, this last season of Fringe reflects an alien threat, one that is an interdimensional threat where we're being subjected to groups that move freely in time and space interdimensionally. We're seeing signs certainly that actual travel from galaxy to galaxy isn't what's going on, is that they are here anyway. There's always the all the space guys are coming to the U.S. because that's where, or to Earth because that's where all the hot babes are. That may also be true. All the tasty babes, especially when shish kebabbed. The real issue, to me, is I guess I don't know. This is why we have a group to put this together. First, because for any one person, as I sit here, for any one person, it is too much to get your head around. I know we have technologies, and I've sat down with a physicist working on dense plasma energy projects only 2 weeks ago. He explained to me what is publicly out here, what is published, and I have sources within the clandestine community involving energy production. And I absolutely know that the information that our universities are using and our publicly acknowledged scientists are generations behind what actually exists. We hear, of course, about earthquakes being caused by space weapons, or there's a woman that talks about the World Trade Center being destroyed by an energy weapon. I am of the knowledge that such weapons exist. As to whether that was done, it's a possibility. It didn't look like that to me. It certainly didn't look like buildings falling down because they caught fire either.
Well, Gordon, since I've never seen a directed energy weapon deployed, I don't know how it looks.
I know, and that's what I have. That's exactly the problem we have. But what I do know is we have space platforms, we have directed energy weapons, that we have space vehicles. I know that one side of a triangular space vehicle is nearly half a mile. That they travel within the atmosphere at 40,000 miles per hour, and when they get outside the atmosphere, that they can put the pedal down. And
well, Gordon, let's point people to the Veterans Today article that came out. What was it, a year and a half ago, about the when the North Koreans' missile blew up, and we tracked that UFO. And we did the analysis on that. Let's point that out, because we've got that one cold. I mean, that thing had mass, was traveling at 17,000 miles an hour in a low Earth atmosphere. That's unbelievably fast.
I had just had Alex send me in a Veterans Day article from 2011, not one of my own. An uncovered letter written by John F. Kennedy to the head of the CIA shows that the president demanded to be shown highly confidential documents about UFOs 10 days before his assassination. Here's the letter from the president. Subject: classification review of all UFO intelligence files affecting national security. This is from John F. Kennedy. As I had discussed with you previously, I have initiated blank, 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 and have instructed James Webb to develop a program with the Soviet Union in joint space and inner exploration. It would be very helpful if you would have the high threat cases reviewed with the purpose of identification of bona fide, as opposed to classified CIA and USAF sources. It is important that we make a clear distinction between known and unknown in event the Soviets try to mistake our extended cooperation as a cover for intelligence gathering of their defense and space program. When this data has been sorted out, I would like to arrange a program of data sharing with NASA where unknowns are a factor. This will help NASA mission directors in their defensive responsibilities. I would like an interim report on the data review no later than February 1st, 1964, signed John F. Kennedy. And the date on this is November 12, 1963. The classification of this is top secret. Let me give you this will help NASA mission directors in their defensive responsibilities.
Now, how do you interpret that?
Well, in the Star Wars program, the Strategic Defense Initiative, that was supposedly being developed to bankrupt the Russians by flanking their space defense system, something being discussed on a daily basis on the FX network show, The Americans, by the way, which I recommend everyone watch because it's superb television. But the Strategic Defense Initiative was based on developing planetary defense. Now, Michael, don't you have some experience with strategic defense and with these projects?
Well, I can give you some hints on this. One of the biggest areas of development that they were looking at that I was aware of was the development of high-energy X-ray lasers. And what they used as the pump, the energy source on these X-ray lasers was a very, very small nuclear device which was detonated. And then the beam was actually collimated by very compact rods of zinc. And that is how you got that's how you collated the light or the energy from the explosion in order to fire the weapon. So we'll be right back after this break, folks. Stick with us. We'll be back with more. Well, good afternoon. Welcome back. This is Mike Harris on the Jeff Rense Radio Network. It is Wednesday, March 20th, 2013. My guest today is Gordon Duff, senior editor of VeteransToday.com. Gordon, we're in the final segment. We've got about 8 or 9 minutes left here. I'm just going to let you run with this, whatever else you want the people out there to know.
Well, we need to, first of all, there's, how do you sit here and tell people that you've got children and grandchildren coming and generations beyond this, and they're going to have their brains sucked out in a zombie apocalypse by reptile aliens? It's not a message we necessarily want to hear. Another message we probably should hear is, as in X-Files and is so often the case, the Quislings among us, those people who love totalitarianism, much of what's going on in the world, why we haven't advanced as we should, why technologies have been hidden, why so much has been hidden, why we developed from horse and buggy to 1969 landing on the moon, and then for 44 years we do nothing at all. We can't even go back there. We're floating around in a space station, driving nasty little cars around without any tail fins.
Gordon, here's what my observation is, and I think a lot of other people can see this too.
All of us dying of cancer and heart attacks, and half of us, just turn on the news. We're being bred. People. We hear the term sheeple. There's a bit of accuracy that's not being admitted to here. We are being bred as cattle. If you want to see what it's like, what is necessary to turn a human being into something that can be cut up for fillets and eaten, turn on Fox News. If you want to listen to Rush Limbaugh, you want to listen to Glenn Beck, CNN, read the New York Times.
Well, Gordon, you just explained the obesity epidemic in this country and why. Farmers don't want skinny cows.
Yep, go ahead. We're letting you run with that one.
No, I'm just saying that would be one explanation. Farmers do everything they can do, from antibiotics to food supplements to all sorts of things that they throw into feed to fatten their cattle up as quick as they can. They don't want them to be in the lot. They want them to gain weight. They get paid by the pound. It brings a lot of clarity into the obesity epidemic, doesn't it?
It's not just that. It's that we have. Well, let's look at the Vietnam War. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I served as a Marine in Vietnam. I came home. I was in Vietnam. We all knew. I was a Marine. I was a combat unit. I was a combat infantryman in a Marine Special Landing Team. And we all knew the war was wrong. We all knew the South Vietnamese were not the allies we wanted. We knew the U.S. government was corrupt. We all certainly knew that the Marine Corps was incredibly corrupt and dishonest. Our food was sold. We were using junk weapons. We were all suffering from malnutrition or starvation. At 6'1", I weighed 120 pounds there, which I'd almost like to do again. But people were coming home. One of the first things I remember is as you got home from Vietnam, your teeth would start falling out. That much malnutrition. But every war, we tried to find the good war. And World War II was the good war. I assure you, and I will go out and wave flags with anybody. I joined the Marine Corps. World War II was not a good war. World War I was not a good war. Vietnam was not a good war. The war on terror was, if anything, worse. Now, I've got a letter published here, and it's published in Press TV and elsewhere. This is not an exclusive letter from a young man who is dying, who is advocating the arrest and imprisonment of Bush and Cheney for war crimes. I recommend that you read that. Let me go on to Veterans Today here as I click the computer and see where that would sit. Actually, it's probably eating its way up to the top 10. Revisiting history. Excuse me while I do this.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, but the whole issue here, Gordon, is that we, as far as technology goes, since the invention of the transistor and the semiconductor technologies that have followed, we've made tremendous strides in that technology. I mean, the power that a person holds in a one of those smartphones now is more computing power than existed when they sent the Apollo missions to the moon. And people hold this in their hand, but yet we've made no progress on energy production that the public's aware of.
Let me jump in and read Thomas Young's letter. And this is a message to George W. Bush and Dick Cheney from a dying veteran, from Thomas Young, the last letter. I write this letter on the 10th anniversary of the Iraq War on behalf of my fellow Iraq War veterans. I write this letter on behalf of 4,488 soldiers and Marines who died in Iraq. I write this letter on behalf of the hundreds of thousands of veterans who have been wounded and on behalf of those whose wounds, physical and psychological, have destroyed their lives. I am one of those gravely wounded. I was paralyzed in an insurgent ambush in 2004 in Sadr City. My life is coming to an end. I am living under hospice care. I write this letter on behalf of husbands and wives who have lost spouses, on behalf of children who have lost a parent, on behalf of fathers and mothers who have lost sons and daughters, and behalf of those who care for the many thousands of my fellow veterans who have brain injuries. I write this letter on behalf of those veterans whose trauma and self-revulsion for what they've witnessed, endured, and done in Iraq have led to suicide, and on behalf of the active duty soldiers and Marines who commit, on average, a suicide a day. I write this letter on behalf of some 1 million Iraqi dead and on behalf of those countless Iraqi wounded. I write this letter on behalf of us all. The human deteriorist.
Yeah.
Thank God people can have better vocabulary than I do. Your war is left behind. Those who will spend their lives in unending pain and grief. And I'm a disabled veteran. I have some idea of this. You may evade justice, but in our eyes you are each guilty of egregious war crimes, of plunder, finally of murder, including the murder of thousands of young Americans, my fellow veterans, whose future you stole. I write this letter, my last letter to you, Mr. Bush and Mr. Cheney. I write not because you think you grasp the terrible human and moral consequences of your lives, manipulation, and thirst for wealth and power. I write this letter because before my own death, I want to make it clear that I and hundreds of thousands of my fellow veterans, along with millions of my fellow citizens, along with hundreds of millions more in Iraq and the Middle East, know fully who you are and what you have done. And I'm taking the page down a bit. You may evade justice, but in our eyes, you are each guilty of egregious war crimes, of plunder, and finally of murder, including the murder of thousands of young Americans, my fellow veterans whose future you stole. Your positions of authority, your millions of dollars of personal wealth, your public relations consultants, your privilege and power cannot mask the hollowness of your character. You sent us to fight and die in Iraq after you, Mr. Cheney, dodged the draft in Vietnam, and you, Mr. Bush, went AWOL from your National Guard unit. Your cowardice and selfishness was established decades ago. You are not willing to risk yourselves for our nation, but you sent hundreds of thousands of young men and women to be sacrificed in a senseless war with no more than the more thought it takes than to put out the garbage. I joined the Army 2 days after the 9/11 attacks. I joined the Army because our country had been attacked, and I wanted to strike back at those who had killed some 3,000 of my fellow citizens. I did not join the Army to go to Iraq, a country that had no part in the September 2001 attacks and did not pose a threat to its neighbors, much less the United States. I go further here, this is Gordon, in saying that Iraq had nothing to do with this, and we have no evidence that any Muslim of any kind had anything to do with 9/11. Back to text. I did not join the Army to liberate Iraqis or to shut down mythical weapons of mass destruction facilities or to implant what you cynically call democracy in Baghdad and the Middle East. I did not join the Army to rebuild Iraq, which at the time you told us could be paid for with Iraq's oil reserves. Instead, this war cost the United States over $3 trillion. I especially did not join the Army to carry out preemptive war. Preemptive war is illegal under international law, and as a soldier in Iraq, I know now, abetting your idiocy and your crimes. The Iraq War is the largest strategic blunder in U.S. history. I would say that Afghanistan supersedes that. It obliterated the balance of power in the Middle East. It installed a corrupt and brutal pro-Iranian government in Baghdad, one cemented in power through its use of torture, death squads, and terror. And it has left Iran the dominant force in the region. Of course, Michael and I get along with Iran just fine. Are we coming to an end here?
We're coming to an end, but Gordon, you're invited back. If you want to come back and finish this up tomorrow, you can. The invitation is open. I'll have you back on if you're up for it.
Well, give me maybe an hour tomorrow.
Okay, you have an hour tomorrow. Folks, you heard it. We'll have Gordon Duff back on tomorrow for an hour or so. And we might take some callers tomorrow because I've been getting some requests for calls, Gordon. We will take some callers tomorrow. So people call in tomorrow when we have Gordon. We'll have him back on then. Until then,
I love callers.
Everybody have a nice evening, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye. Well, good afternoon and welcome. This is Mike Harris on the Jeff Rense Radio Network, and today is Thursday, March 21st, 2013. And as I promised yesterday, we're having Gordon Duff back again for a second day, probably only an hour today. But we're having him back on today because there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be shared with the public. So, Gordon, welcome back to the show. How are you, sir?
Well, and want to apologize in advance. I'm here on a bench working on a weapons project. I'm a gunsmith, so that's how I. there's some question about this. It's how I stay sane. Yesterday we were talking about UFO issues. Today is part of the planning related things, and let me pull up something out of Veterans Today that I will add as color for this. I had discussions with Jim Fetzer and others. This is one of the talks that Mike and I had about, real people, internet people, leadership. Veterans Today wasn't meant to become a powerhouse in news. We don't get paid. We're affiliated with Rense. We're affiliated with Press TV. We're affiliated with a lot of people because, frankly, we're affiliating a social group. But it was very critical that we established some territory that we aren't internet people. The gossipy, whiny, and I'll call it every one of them are malignant narcissists that are so horribly threatened by our huge success. And first of all, to be real clear about this, for Mike and Jeff Rense and Kevin Barrett and John Stokes and the very large staff at Veterans Today. And please go to Veterans Today and go to our editorial page and see how many people are involved there. Many dozens. I'm one small cog and a very large project that includes. This is the whole part about this, that leadership, and there's a peace conference coming up in Damascus, and I've been asked to co-chair that, and it's a serious thing, but it isn't any one of us, it's all of us, and we've all had to learn to work together. We've all had to, and those of us, I've worked in diplomacy. I carry credentials as a diplomat. All of this idea that there is some superior class of people that should be leading everyone around, controlling everyone, these manufactured political yeehaws that I've met probably more world leaders than almost any living journalist, largely because I have a background in intelligence and I get a lot of private audience meetings, and there isn't a one of them out there any smarter than you guys out in the audience. Not a one of them, none of them are a step ahead of any of you. And in any meeting anyone would have with a head of an intelligence agency or some would-be golf playing big shot, nobody out there has anything on any of you out there. And what we've learned here of late through Obama, and Obama, I'm a supporter, but let me qualify that. I blame the Bush administration for destroying America's prestige that could have brought around a police or a settlement in the Middle East. However, Obama had 4 years to put the toothpaste back in the tube by showing some backbone. He didn't do it. Now he's sitting there kissing rear end in Israel when there needs to be leadership at a time when Netanyahu needs not just to be put in his place, but frankly, Netanyahu is now a loner with a government that's unfriendly to him. Point is, we can't afford all these aircraft carriers, these broken F-35 aircraft, the broken but at least fast and maneuverable F-22s. I'm sitting here working on an old Soviet weapon. I just took the gas piston delivery system apart, and I said, why can't the U.S. make stuff that good? And we can't. We don't. It's why don't we do that? Why do we send people to war with junk? Why do we send people to wars
Gordon,
fighting for oil and drugs?
I will answer the question for you. Is because of the profit motive. They've put the profit motive ahead of the health and well-being, the ability of the troops to defend themselves. It's plain and simple. It's been that way in this country since at least the Civil War. Because that's when the first charges against war profiteers were being made. In fact, cannons were delivered that did not have the right density of iron, I guess, in them and they were exploding and killing the whole crew that manned the cannon. So that's been going on for a long time in the USA. Other countries don't tolerate that. They take the people out who do that type of stuff and hang them. We let them get off. We find them or we let them slide somehow.
Well, I've got a 7.62 by 59, and those out there who know those things, sniper rifle apart here. I'm holding the barrel in my hand, and I'm looking at the steel on this thing, and it's a wartime hatchet job, Dragunov, but taking it up a notch. But some of the rationale here, and this is I've run into this recently. I put out an article. It was an interview I'd done on 9/11 with Press TV a while ago. And I have sources. I'm a military contractor. You and I work for the same company. You're chief financial officer of a multinational defense company, Michael. It's not for everyone, but that is your day job.
Well, don't tell any of my remaining friends.
Yeah, well, that is your job. I mean, it's what you do, and we have of the few people in the world, we make an attempt at least representing a company ethic. Technically, from a working standpoint, I'm your boss. God, I hate thinking of that. What's it like working for me anyway? How often wonder about that?
It's another day in the salt mine.
Oh my God! Yeah, but
Well, anyway, Gordon, get back to your point about Fetzer, because you were about to say something.
And doing this, there are selected people among us, and it's not a big group that exist as one of you, and that's why I don't mind getting callers here. If you're out here, might give out the number here.
Well, that's the thing. We promised we would be taking callers today. The number is 877-342-6673. And once again, get out your pen, get out your paper. The number is 877-342-6673. We'll be taking callers for the time that Gordon's on. Anybody wants to call in, has something to say, please do.
And I'll get the trigger assembly over here in the process. But to some extent, as far as intelligence goes, we are nothing without the listeners. I hope we're putting out the kind of product that attracts the people we want to hear from. And I don't care. And we just says, I don't care if you're not the president of Raytheon or whatever. But we're very dependent on people out there who, and we have, our listeners are absolutely everything to us. And so much of the critical information we get, so many of the ideas we get come from our listeners. We are no better than our audience. I have learned from people, and we have some crazy people commenting at Veterans Today. I have learned a huge amount. And, I'm one of the biggest know-it-alls in the world, as Michael will tell you. But I've learned a huge amount from the people that are from listeners. It's an impressive group of folks, and we have tremendous respect for you. But it's not just that people have become, that we use the term sheeple. And the reason we went into our UFO discussion yesterday is there is a very legitimate planetary threat, and we will bring that up after the break.
Well, very good, Gordon. You're going to put me out of a job here, too. Jeez Louise. Be right back, folks.
And I'm going to start power tools going.
Be right back after
to run
break.
During the break.
So Gordon can run his Dremel.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome back. This is Mike Harris on the Jeff Rentz Radio Network, and today is Thursday, March 21st, 2013. My guest again is Gordon Duff, from senior editor of VeteransToday.com. The dial-in number is 877-342-6673. We look forward to having callers today. So, Gordon, welcome back.
Well, you'd asked me about Fetzer, and we're jumping around a little bit, but I think that's fine because hey, a lot of you guys are listening out in your cars here, and I've got I can't even name a musical. Who do people listen to now? I mean, I have no idea anymore. But we're talking about Fetzer, and Fetzer does a lot of JFK-oriented stuff, and we got into a bit of a Donnybrook yesterday. He's a Fetzer, and everybody here's staff at Veterans Today. Jeff Rentz is an editor. Jim Fetzer is an editor. I'm senior editor. You're finance editor. I mean, we have 120 correspondents in 26 countries. But we're going into a JFK thing where there was an article in the Daily Mail, a British paper, in 2011 that said a secret memo. They're claiming that there's a connection between UFOs and JFK's death. I've got this will be on VeteransToday.com. You suggest you read this. It's a Daily Mail. But the original piece is Daily Mail. It is not ours. But reading from a letter written, what's the date on this? November 12th, 1963, 11 days before the assassination. This is, I'm reading text from John F. Kennedy. When this data has been sorted out, and he's asking for UFO data to be made public, I would like to arrange a program of data sharing with NASA where the unknowns, and he capitalized it, are a factor. And they're talking about UFO stories from wherever and the real ones that real. This is the sentence that knocks you on your ear. At least I think so. This will help NASA mission directors in their defensive responsibilities. This will help NASA mission directors in their defensive responsibilities. It's an acknowledgement in 1963 that the President of the United States wanted coordinated UFO information, just the way, we're supposedly doing with the war on terror. And that the position NASA had is that NASA's mission leaders were involved in defensive. And when you say defensive, I'm going to the point of saying, I've got Alex Powers up here with us. I shouldn't say his name, actually. Not asked. On the air with Mike. And I wish we could get Alex on with us because he's the one who brought up the article. But
Alex is a sharp guy, White House insider, worked in the Pentagon for a number of years. He's a smart kid.
Yeah, and none of us would have seen this. None of us would have caught what was an article only published in the UK. And something absolutely vital, where we can now categorically state that NASA was clearly tasked with planetary defensive projects in 1963. Now, Fetzer's point is that these projects are not what he would attribute the assassination to, and he is the leading expert on the Kennedy assassination, leading researcher. And one of the reasons I went to Fetzer saying is that I need his research capabilities because he's a very published, very capable scientist, good credentials, that I need him working on these projects because we need to weed out the information that doesn't fit and that does. And the problem is that the information that does fit, and this is where our discussion went earlier today, that the information on UFOs isn't just simply disclosure that yes, we've got flying saucers buzzing around. They're all going to, Coney Island shops. They're here to get our women or whatever. No, what's beginning to pan out is the idea that we have people here who are here to take this planet over and get rid of all of us, and to leave a self-proclaimed elite of smiling, backstabbing cowards that belong to all of these little secret societies that right out of X-Files, exactly out of X-Files. These guys are there because they think they can sell humanity down the river for a free ride.
Well, that's one thing. Conquering armies are never gentle with the indigenous population. And then the collaborators who work with them usually are the first ones to be killed off once the deed is done.
Well, I'd like them to do it in advance. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, so would I. Here's our next break. We'll be right back with a little bit more after this with Gordon Duff. The dial-in number is 877-342-6673 if you have any questions or comments on this issue. We'll be right back, folks. Stick with us. Well, good afternoon. This is Mike Harris of the Jeff Rense Radio Network, and it's Thursday, March 21st, 2013. My guest today is Gordon Duff. We just had so much going on yesterday with such topics of such gravity, no pun intended, that I decided to invite Gordon back, and I promised him callers, and so far we're not having any. So if you're ever tempted to call in,
You've got a caller from Illinois online, it says here.
Oh, well, good. Let's go ahead and welcome him. I haven't. Here we have Mike from Illinois. Mike, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Good, thank you. Say, what do you think of Mike Piper's work on the JFK assassination?
You go ahead and take that, Michael Harris. Michael Collins Piper, you're saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, one of the things I learned to do in keeping peace as senior editor of Veterans Today is on the JFK assassination stuff. If I open my mouth about this too much, Fetzer puts his foot somewhere, and which hey, that's part of taking the knocks. Back while working for, as I claim, the post office early on, one of the areas that we postal employees were involved in during the wars in Central America we were running weapons and we claimed medical supplies, and I'm lying there, in and out of New Orleans. And in doing this, the former business partners of Clay Shaw at the International Trade Center in New Orleans were postal, or we could also call them CIA employees at the time. And they're making use of the boats that were servicing the offshore platforms. And frankly, I literally didn't know they were moving drugs. Call me an idiot, okay? But that put me in touch with the surviving members of the group around Clay Shaw and Ferry and whatever, including the group at the Jefferson Parish Attorney's Office, who were very much co-conspirators with Barrister and others. So, early on, my orientation had been that the movie JFK itself had a lot of validity, simply because I'd stumbled over these people while arranging for, we'll say it, humanitarian supplies for the Contra fighters at that time that were working in Honduras. I don't know if that helps or answer anything, by the way.
Well, it seems that I tend to believe that Kennedy was taken out by the same tribe that has taken out a lot of leaders in the past and disposed kings and magistrates.
Well,
and
that's a big picture I wasn't able to see, but I can tell you very much I'm getting a look at it right now from where I'm sitting, and yeah, it's how it looks now. The more you're personally involved in things, the less you really see, because you only see the 10 feet in front of you. And tell me what are your opinions on this? What have you gleaned over the years, and how would you place complicity?
Well, it's my opinion. After I like to study Judaism, but I like real history too. Real history is really ugly, but these people have been involved in a lot of ugly things, and they're masters of espionage. They always have been. They control the banking systems, and history pretty much shows that they've been behind quite a bit over the last couple of centuries, at least that what I've been able to find out, and so I tend to think that this tribe. You know who I'm talking about. They're well organized, and they have the best espionage. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that's pushed me over into the I'll call it the tinfoil hat world here, is that in tracing down that tribe, is that every time you open enough closet doors, I'm beginning to find hidden UFO material there. As you're rummaging through the clothes in the closet, it's what we're finding there. And as I get close to more and more, what would, let's say, be legitimate information, tracking down the, why technologies are suppressed, why there isn't the kind of technological development in the world to improve our standards of living, our education, why we seem to be dead-ended as a people on this planet to live in eternal war, and absolute silliness. I mean, what we have out here for world leaders, and God only knows, as a member of the press who supposedly has to kick tail to get stories, since I don't get paid, I don't care. But we're in a planet that what we use for world leaders, some of these people are absolutely too stupid to live. I could carve better men out of a banana. And that's not just starting with George Bush. And when it's down to me defending or supporting Barack Obama, I can't support Barack Obama and categorically state that so many of the things he's said and done aren't totally moronic. Because frankly, they are. He's an embarrassment to me. And this least of all evils thing, it's not an accident that we have these people selected for us, because what we call leaders aren't leaders. That's the point I believe you're making. They are nothing but hand puppets. Would that be close to what you're getting at?
Oh, yeah, you bet.
Well, Mike, any other comments or questions for Gordon that you have here before we let you go?
Yeah, I've got a question for both of you guys.
Okay.
And I don't mean to be attacking. I've been accused lately of trying to sabotage the truth movement or the movement.
That's fine. If I can't defend myself, I got no business being on here.
Well, if you had to defend yourself, get out of the ring.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's just I'm asking questions, and I'm worried about the military. Go ahead.
No, Mike, go ahead.
I'm worried about the military. Things like Oath Keepers and other organizations people sign up with. It bothers me that it seems like there may be some well-meaning people that started this up, but it's
been
sure a good way.
Hijacked by New World Order people and is now a front organization. Yes, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a good way to collect names of people who aren't going to go along with the program, and you can weed these people out, or they'll probably find a way to kill them off.
Oh my God, we should hire you. Yeah, good one. Very, very good. And that's exactly what's going on. Exactly. I have, we have a nice staff of intelligence people, and that's specifically what they're saying. They're saying that so many of the organizations, exactly what you pointed out, are there to collect names, the people to be taken away, and so many of the patriotic organizations, 9/11 truth groups, all of them, they're little gatekeeper groups. You have it exactly right. That's exactly what our information is too. Run like
That's
hell.
what the Bolsheviks. The Bolsheviks did that in Russia.
They are the people we're dealing with. Are Bolsheviks, Mike?
I know
Okay,
it.
Mike. Hey, well, Mike, thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. We've got a break coming up, and we'll be taking caller Miguel from California right after this break. Be right back, folks. Good afternoon. Welcome back. This is Mike Harris on the Jeff Rense Radio Network. My guest today is Senior Editor of Veterans Today, Gordon Duff. Gordon, welcome back. And we've got caller from California, Miguel. Miguel, you with us?
Yeah, Mike, are you there?
Well, good afternoon and welcome, sir.
Hi, Mike, and hi, Gordon. This is a perfect example of why my name is Miguel. A year after President Kennedy was assassinated, I was in 5th grade, and they put us 5 Mikes in the same row, and I was Mike number 1. At that point, a couple weeks later, I changed my name to Miguel. And there weren't many Mexicans or Latinos in America at that time, so Miguel was a real unique name, even though today, it's a little bit different. But the caller before was Michael, and you're Michael, and I'm Michael, so I am Miguel from San Diego. I emailed you, and I've talked to you before, Mike, about the Robert Heinlein Time Enough for Love stuff. But I'm also Gordon. Oh, I heard that and listened. I just dropped a 4570, pretty heavy load.
Oh, yeah. My 4570's sitting against the wall here, by the way.
Yep. And I love how
Rick,
you and John...
You just heard a bolt hit the table, didn't you?
No, you and John Stokes have brought that to light. The 4570 is a load that your UFO topic is... that's why I'm calling in. I am a person who I consider one of the few who knows that the truth of of the topic. I believe maybe yourself and Mike are believers because of information, but because I have my background, there is no dispute, and the issues that you're talking about alien races and the upcoming future, the 4570 is a good round for any kind of
basic fingerprints.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But here's the thing that I wanted to bring up to you guys and just throw out. You just talked about Jim Fetzer and the Kennedy assassination. Well,
Yes.
me being in the know with UFOs, I've lived, 3 or 4 decades with the reality that most of the people I would ever talk to would think I'm crazy. And so you don't talk, and you learn, and you live life. Well, here, President Kennedy, we are still spending thousands upon thousands of hours of our precious time debating the truth to a matter. Now, the reason why I bring that up is I lived a life of UFO reality. I lived a life working for the government, knowing that they've spent trillions of dollars preparing and interacting with our reality.
Can you say what what branch of the government you work for, or what organization?
On air, no, not on this time specifically, but I can say that I bought a missile base east of Denver years ago because I'd worked with people, upper management, that closed down the Denver airport, and
Can you tell us how much work there is underground in the United States now? How many acres do we have underground? How many feet underground are we working? Is that in your bailiwick?
No, and if it was, I wouldn't say it because I wouldn't be able to say it again tomorrow if I said it today. But I will say this: I sat and had dinner with the president of the largest tunneling company in the world, and this is a few years ago, and I was actually I was the chief engineer on a large design build project, and he was a sister company that was owned by HBG. It's a big English construction. It's the largest construction company in the world, or one of them. But he, the tunneler, I was trying to get on a job that normally would have taken 2 months to tunnel through a mountain. Well, we got the job, and they were done in 2 weeks with the tunneling aspect. So what I'm trying to say to you guys is that, yes, the technology is far beyond what we've seen from the 60s, which is, and we hear all this stuff about 7 miles a day in huge cities. But what I'd like to bring to the forefront to the veterans today and the rents crowd is that with the earth changes that are coming up, we have to have an ability to be underground for short periods of time because of solar activity.
Okay.
If you're 2 miles underground and you're in a tunnel going Mach 5, from place to place, and there's let's say a significant earthquake, I don't think I'd want to be in that tunnel going Mach 5 because a little bit of a shift and you're toast. So the idea is all these underground bases, that's really not an issue for us, nor is it really a solution. But there are solutions, which is the reality that, yes, there are aliens. Yes, they are here because the world is about ready to go through a weakening process as far as the catastrophes that are about, to be pushed upon us, which are not man-made. And it'll make it an opportunity for the let's say, inhabitation of the hidden alien races that have been here. In a small extent, they've been hidden because there's too many of us. We control the planet basically. After the catastrophes, the powers that be think that it's an opportunity to take over. And when you talk about, the last caller talked about genetics and history, and that's all really interesting, and there's so much truth to it. But
can you tell me about the issue of protected bloodlines? Are you dealing with that at all?
No, but I come from a I come from a German line that connected to the Jesuits and connected to. So I know that there's a lot more to that subject than I know and that I could really talk about. But yes, it's there. I mean, well, actually, that's the problem with our science.
I'm the child of a Detroit auto worker, meaning, I am not skull and bones material. And at some point, I had the realization put on me that, oh, my name's Gordon Duff. What does that mean? You're part of the Hatton McDuffs. Who are the Hatton McDuffs? The Hatton McDuffs are the ruling family, along with the Gordons, the Sinclairs, St. Clairs, and others, the ruling family of Scotland, and are a Grail bloodline. And then what's that? And then, of course, there's this fear of narcissism. When you have people telling you you're special, you begin to believe it. And this is a fear. Once someone tells you you're special, they're also setting you up.
Yes, I agree. But this would be a question to Mike, because this is what I'm trying to get at, is that I think the problem with our focus is that, I've looked into my heraldry recently because I want to recreate my shield, my family shield, and use it. But the idea is that for Mike, my problem is I have a son, you have a son, Mike has a son, and Mike, you are worried more about your son and his hopefully children, and so am I about my son and my hopefully grandchildren, than I am about myself. And thinking and talking and spending all my time about what happened yesterday isn't really helping them. And what I'm trying to say is my knowledge of knowing, and I don't care about the aliens. I don't. I have weapons that maybe will help if I ever have to, meet with them. But that's not my problem today. My problem today is they are here because we are going to get caught with our pants down. And a lot of that is because the power brokers are taking, e-ticket ride has been used over and over. They have their e-ticket rides to what they think they're going to survive these upcoming years. And believe me, this year...
Mike, let me jump in for a second. I can say that I have every verification that part of what you're saying, I have definitely seen that. I have seen that there is a group who thinks they're going to survive and the rest of us aren't. Definitely run at that one.
Well, here, everybody's heard of the Georgia Guidestones. Think about the idea that if there's only 500 million of us left, based on war and catastrophe, it's not just, the earth changes or just, man-made, but then it's a manageable planet for the other race, and they will use us as their slaves and food. And that's the plan. And believe me, what I'm trying to say to everybody is, okay, let's say, oh my gosh, what do we do? Well, it's real simple. We have veterans today. We have all the skills, all the people. We have, hundreds of thousands of Americans that, I have a missile base that can be created that could support thousands of people, not in the missile base, but we could, by refocusing, if we only knew what's about to happen, if we just refocused, we don't try to recreate the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, the United States. We just take care of ourselves. And if we have 100 or 200 or 1 million of us, they can't not let us alone.
Well, Mike, let me jump in and what's sometimes fun to do is we'll call it hiding in plain sight. We're sitting here on.
We've got our top of the hour break. This is the longer break. Miguel, you can continue.
Can we keep Miguel on here?
Yeah, or not? We can. We've got a couple of the callers holding as well. So I hope that.
I don't want to hurt you, Miguel.
No. Everything's good. But this is our longer breaks. So Miguel, just hang on over the break. We'll give you another minute or two on the other side of the hour. Okay.
And Miguel, get Mike your contact information.
good afternoon and welcome to the second hour of the show. My guest today is Gordon Duff, senior editor of VeteransToday.com. And we had to interrupt the dialogue with our caller Miguel from California, so I want to get that back on right away. We'll take caller Chris from Washington State next. But Miguel, Gordon, welcome back. Let's continue.
Mike, let me jump in here, and here's what I'm asking, which is not. First of all, any contact you have with us, there are two good and bad things with VT. One is that I think you know how visible we are, but secondly, I hope you realize that we aren't entirely harmless here. You know, if you know what I'm saying, Mike.
Yes, I do.
Yes, and Miguel, are you there?
Yeah, Gordy, and I like that statement because the only reason why I would even go out on rants and in the public is because of the fact that you guys aren't harmless. And, you know, just to put this in perspective on your area that you're involved with Dymus, I have the 3 missile silos. It's, you know, the Titan ones. It's the large base with, you know, lots of underground structures. But the silos themselves are 190 feet deep, 60 feet wide, and it would be a wonderful, at least 1 or 2 of them, wonderful staging platforms for balloons, drones, you know, surveillance kind of operations. So I'm sitting here listening to you talk about, you know, your African adventure, and I'm going, I have a son, your son, and Mike's son could all be employed with a corporation that does private surveillance.
We already have a.
Yeah.
You know, we do this.
Yes.
Now the balloons we have, we're initially using. We've got 7 Skyship 600s. They're 203 feet long. That you know are 12-man platforms, but with the surveillance pod, we're limited in how much fuel we have. We carry as few as 3 people, and that also means, and this is just a joke, how many Hellfire missiles we have on board. We would never do that, of course.
Well,
so I'm just kidding.
But I know, but Gordy, here, bringing it back to Mike, what I'm saying, like with the drones or this, I'm trying to get back to, instead of fighting the big ship of that the government or the hidden agendas, why don't we try to take care of our own and get some of those contracts? Now, I'm not trying to say.
We're in that process, and toward that end, if you check your email, you have an email from me there. Okay.
Great.
And
okay,
what we had done, and this is since we're not really on the air speaking publicly, you know who Delta is, right?
Yes. Okay,
we've pulled Delta on with us as that we'll call it that minor enforcement branch. You know, we've brought them on because, you know, they have a private corporation they use for nuclear facilities security. So we've brought them into our defense group. They're providing us with personnel who have the SCI and top secret and above clearances that we need. So we've brought on two smaller defense contractors, which I think will lead that direction. Now, the question is going. Go ahead.
But Gordy, this is where again, you and Mike have been, and actually Mike, I've heard say this, have been, you know, talking about Leo Wanta and talk to Leo Wanta, you know, very often, and about, you know, those funds. Well, again, what you just said about Delta, we're talking about a handful of people, and what I'm worried about are Americans and, you know, potentially hundreds of millions of people on board with trying to feed themselves, house themselves, and, you know, grow their families. And the way to do that is to actually identify that UFOs we don't need to focus on. We don't need to worry about it. Let TV do that. Let, you know, the sheeple worry about aliens. We need to worry about the upcoming problems that you and your intelligence can tell you is real, and that is, how are we going to feed our children and clothe them and keep them away from the FEMA camps because they're starving.
Now, I was with the USDA about 3 weeks ago at Ohio State, and they brought in they have a geography project going right now, recognizing all arable land in the eastern United States. I mean, anything that'll put a tomato plant on. They're using, rather than sensors, they don't understand how hyperspectral sensors work and how much more efficient that is than using extension agents, and then the fact that they're hiding this information. The map I looked at with them very much looked like a disaster response map that we were working to ramp up food production in the U.S. about 400% in a 12-month period. And the USDA has an active project going with Michigan State, Ohio State, and Indiana State universities. Doing this, graduate students are running the project, and they have no idea they're involved in a defense project.
Yeah, two comments real quick, Gordy, on that. In San Diego.
And the other thing is, should I be saying this is another point, you know? That's another thing. You brought this up earlier. We already had one visit here, and that's where the 4570 thing comes in. They went after one of our people out of South Africa over a disclosure issue a while ago, you know, and my point is that I served on Majestic for a period of time. You know what the group is. I tend to avoid being fearful as much as possible, and the reason both of us think 4570 is, you know, you've got a weapon that's, you know, over a century old that'll toss 300 grains of lead down the end of the barrel at 1,800 feet per second. And hey, if you got a force field, you want to show up on the porch, let's test that sucker out. You know, I'm willing.
Yeah.
I got nothing to lose.
You know, I love it. I have a 4570 because it'll take down a grizzly bear, and it'll take down a rhino, and it'll take down anything bigger than a human being that might not be a human being that comes on the planet. But it takes a special round to do that. You have to add copper and a few other items to the actual bullet itself.
Makes a very nice hot 4570.
Hey, but here's the thing I want to leave you guys with, because you have other callers. I was on a research vessel before the years you're talking about, when the government ramped up into what the undergrounds and all that. I actually had the head geologist, which was one of the premier geologists in the world at the time, on this research vessel, come out and have me look at a slide that we had just drilled and cored, and he showed me the magnetic flips of the planet. Now, we've all heard about, you know, the magnetic changes, and in our history about, you know, pole shifts and magnetic flips. This was the most premier geologist in the world at the time, and he was so fearful that he had to come out, and I was the first person that he could grab to show what he had, you know, the slide, you know, the thin, not vivisection, but a thin slide of the rock in black light to show the magnetic reversal of the iron ore. But he was so fearful of what he was seeing. And what I'm trying to say to you is, forget the aliens so much, forget politics so much. Really understand that what is important is far greater, and that's survival.
Miguel, part of what's going on now is that's exactly what we're refocusing, and it does seem to be a waste of time. I even Renz carried one of these things. We're talking about 9/11, for instance. I went over 9/11 with people from Army intelligence. They explained how the nuclear weapons were used. It certainly matches what I know. And suddenly I've got 500 internet idiots that want to fight about it. Well, I'm sorry, it's years ago. And I see we've got a break coming up.
We do. And Miguel, I want to thank you for calling in, but we're going to have to move on and take another caller. We'll take Chris from Washington State after this. We'll be right back after this short break. Folks, stick with us. Don't go away. Well, good afternoon. Welcome back. This is Mike Harris on the Jeff Rense Radio Network. My guest today is Senior Editor of Veterans Today, Gordon Duff. Gordon, welcome back. I hear your
using
Dremel
a power tool, by the way. Excuse me. I'll be done with this. Let's bring our
Dremel
caller
working in the background. Let's bring our next caller, Chris from Washington State, on. Chris, how are you today, sir?
Chris.
Hello, Chris. You there? Okay. Let's give him a second. Okay. Well, my board operator is sending me a message here. Let's see what he has to type out. Okay, well, hopefully, Chris, are you there? We're still waiting for you. We're not hearing a thing. So, Brett, if you get this, try to turn the volume up or adjust it so we can hear him, because we're not getting anything from the caller.
There, and I'm no longer being impolite by using power tools on the air.
Okay, Chris, my board operator says he's not getting you either. We can't pick up your signal. So, boy, I don't know what to do. Either have you hang up and call right back in, or whatever. But we'll get you up very first because you've been holding a long time. So
we have I'd like to be able to get Chris here if there's any way. Do we have a backup caller?
We did, but he hung up. So maybe the Greek from Tucson will call back as well. But Chris, if you want to hang up and call right back, we will get you right back on. Well, so anyway, one of the points that the last caller, Miguel, made was that we waste so much time looking at something that happened 50 years ago with JFK.
We were being chastised, and rightly so. And and that's what callers are for. And
but Gordon, let me make the point. And the point is that those who don't learn from history are destined to repeat it. I don't want to repeat that history.
That's George Santayana for those people who don't know where that quote comes from.
But I also want to be forward-looking on this, and that's why I call for it's time for this country, us as a people, as a nation, to create a new vision of what we want this country, America, to be. And we need to think 50 years, 100 years in advance, because what we do today is going to affect what happens downstream, and we have to plan for our children and our posterity. And the caller was absolutely right. Okay, we've got a caller, WD from Mexico. WD, welcome.
New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico.
Bye.
All I got on my board was Mexico. What part of New Mexico are you in?
Up northern New Mexico near Santa Fe.
Okay, by Angel Fire, Chamas, where were you at?
No, I'm actually southeast of Santa Fe, up in the mountains.
Okay, good deal. Well, anyway, welcome to the show. Do you have a question or a comment for Gordon?
Yeah, well, overall, I just feel like we've been born and raised in a narrative that's kind of controlling and doesn't have police systems, and it seems like that's really where we need to start with the foundation there. How do we change this narrative that's so controlled by these powerful entities? It goes like the National Secrecy Act of 1951. I mean, all of our technology is so suppressed because of that, and many other things that are similar. So how would you approach it from an intelligence analysis standpoint? How can the populace lever this in a different way?
And let me sort of answer that. I don't know how familiar you are with Veterans Today, but
very much, Gordon. I've emailed you a few different times.
Okay, all right. As you probably know, not everybody on staff are the people that you see whose names are on the page, but you do know that I have several of the world's top PSYOPs people, and we're having a PSYOP run on us. So my issue was, what the heck? You want to play? Welcome to my world. We'll run one back. And
right.
We have been leaking from classified to exceedingly classified information. We are the real WikiLeaks, but we've been putting things out there that no one would, that no one will, and some of this has been, and this is the last caller with his point about why he carries a 4570. Our backing at Veterans Today is with the military. Now, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the Pentagon was full of Bible-thumping whatever. Well, they're pretty much through with any of that. And see, we are not for the most part, peaceniks. I don't mind killing folks. I just want to be, for the first time in my life, I want to be killing the right people. That's the point. And Michael, you know who I'm speaking for.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, we're not easy boys. Michael knows me well in person. I'm not an easygoing person, nor am I harmless, nor is Michael harmless. None of us are. We're not here as whining liberals. We're not whining, and as the last caller certainly called us on the political issue. Right now, we're very much against the wall, defending this planet. It's not bull. It's really gone that far. The narrative has gotten out of hand. We are absolutely being fed childish mythology. We've got to break free of television. We've got to break free of news. And we have dug into the bowels as thoroughly as we can, as you're seeing from this show, of where the real threats are, how serious this is. And if we have Bible thumpers out there who talk about the end times, we're very much there. And I'm here to say and it's an us thing, not just Mike and I, but it's all of us here, which includes you. We're not going quietly into the night. We're not going to go without a fight. We're not going to follow a government. We're not going to follow what we're told. We're not going to believe any of it anymore. I'm not worried about black helicopters. We have something far darker than that to deal with, far darker. And this is exactly, and it isn't just me. It's apparently you. It's all of us. We're all feeling the same things. We're all getting, and it's a vibe. And we're going with our gut, and our gut is always right.
Well, WD, we're up on our next break. You want to hang on? I'll give you a minute to respond after we get back on the other side. Then we'll take our next caller, the Greek from Tucson. So stick with us, folks. Well, good afternoon and welcome back. This is Mike Harris on the Jeff Rense Radio Network, and we're on with caller WD from New Mexico. WD, welcome back to the show. My guest today is Gordon Duff, Senior Editor of Veterans Today. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. I guess my response would be we're also controlled by energy, and so much nuclear, the petroleum industry, the Middle East, the quagmire over there. We know we have new energy systems. What's it going to take for the common blue-collar man to get a lever out there and start with some of this technology without getting killed?
Well, there is some progress on that. Gordon, didn't you speak with the physicist from Lawrenceville Plasma Physics Lab last week?
Yeah, and the issue we came to is that Lawrenceville is operating on the cutting edge of what is publicly available in aneutronic dense plasma physics. And I have two things, and this is Eric Lerner, who's a noted physicist and who is involved in the most advanced public projects. And an issue that I'm feeling hampered by is that through affiliations, which Michael will have to verify, we have access to ultra-high security DARPA projects we know that are using, and Eric's a physicist, I am not, but I have access to extremely classified projects which are using information well beyond that is being made available to companies like Eric's company, which is the really the world leader right now and needs investment capital. So if people are interested in investing in energy, I'm not personally involved, and this is not a prospectus or offering of any kind, as the small print says. Lawrenceville Plasma Physics is out doing the work, but we have fusion-based technologies that we have had for some years that Michael has access to individuals who have seen these, and these are highly secretive, that are capable of powering light speed flight, that are capable of powering energy weapons with power beyond hydrogen bombs, that we have infinite power available that could be used for crops, for light, for powering vehicles, that could put our economies on a beyond paying basis, that could increase our standard of living 100-fold, that could make this planet a Garden of Eden, and we're sitting on these technologies because they're too upsetting, or they'd upset a stock market, or this giant global, what I would call it, counterfeiting conspiracy that we call central banks, the World Bank, IMF. This is nothing but a joke. One of the things we're talking, and we'll save some of this for another show. I don't want to eat up this much time.
Yeah, but absolutely. So with all this suppression, how do we move forward with this National Secrecy Act that can make every new technology a weapon and then take it away from us?
This is exactly what we're dealing with on a real basis right now.
Gordon, the answer to that is we need new leadership. We need a regime change in this country. We need a new Congress. We need a new Senate. We need a new executive branch. We need a new judicial branch. We need a new vision for what this. I'm glad people are listening out, because that is exactly what we need. Is we need a new vision for what we want this nation to be,
and new belief systems behind it.
We've spent years here because we also work in defense and intelligence, and we have the highest security classifications this country's got, worming our way into the areas you would want to be. And there are many things I can't make public, and of course this upsets a lot of people because I don't tell people everything, and it's not for people to know everything, but the areas that you're talking about, yes, we have direct knowledge that these technologies exist, are deliverable, are suppressed, and doing so is a treasonous betrayal of the people of the United States, the people of the world, that
Absolutely.
we are being frozen in 1970. The only technologies they're letting us have are the monkey see technologies. We get mobile phones and iPads, and anything beyond that, we're denied.
Absolutely. Well, I've been following this at Stan Myers in the cornfields of Ohio, so I know what's out there, and I know what we're not allowed to have. And it's hard to see a lot of people fall by the wayside while we're waiting. And it seems like the military's in the position to let it go at some point and say certain things are okay and safe for us to have. We can bioremediate, microremediate a lot of the planet's problems very quickly. We can go right into our current infrastructure with plasma technology and have new fuel delivery systems. I mean, it's all there. Just when is the political will? We keep asking them. I think we just need to claim it.
Well, right now, we are drawing a line in the sand, and as it's turned out, as we're seeing here in this show, there are more than a few of us, and we're not
Absolutely.
internet people. We're not conspiracy people. We're very, very serious, and we control, I'll tell you, we control not just a lot of money, more than a few banks. We are deeply embedded in the military technology infrastructure in this country, and not all of us are going to sit quietly and let things go on the way they have.
Thank you, guys. I've woken up a lot, and I'm one of those 3%, and I'm not soft target either. So,
well, hey, thanks for calling, and tell your friends, because we need to get the word out there. This show is a great thing for you to refer them to. Please do, and call back again. Call back again next time.
I will, absolutely.
Let's go ahead and welcome Let's welcome our next caller from Tucson, the Greek. Welcome to the show.
Greetings, guys. Matters of UFOs, history, and energy. It's going to take a lot more than just humanity getting up on its hind legs and mastering its perceptions. It's not there yet. In terms of the UFO or alien invasion, I'm going to have to make a suggestion to any aliens wanting to invade. I've got a vest pocket copy of Sun Tzu's Art of War. You can trace where I'm calling from. I'll give you a copy of it, and you could take over this planet without firing a shot.
Maybe the problem is they did read the book. They may have written the book, and they may have already quite well done that if you begin looking at all of our governments.
Sure. The thing is, in terms of the leaders in the governments, all of the ancient scriptures, regardless of which culture, the leadership is just a reflection of the people. And again, like I suggested, if humanity needs to get up on its hind legs and master perception in some degree. There's a saying in Russia that says the only thing left to discover is our history. And when the American people discovered that World War III, which supposedly ended in 1945, which they call World War II, I would suggest World War I was when the U.S. joined the Napoleonic Axis in the late 18th century, and in 1812 the British came in and kicked in the door of the Pink House, now known as the White House. So there's many, many, many things left for people to discover. I would also suggest, most of the alien stories that are put out there are part of a black project. And the black project, the deepest black project, I would suggest, would perhaps be FDR's Office of War Information. And because you have a country known as America struggling with developing an identity and a culture and mythology, just as the Greeks had Prometheus bring them fire, it was very easy to develop the.
Hey, we got a break. We got a break coming on. Hold on through the break here.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to the final segment of the show. We're on with Senior Editor of Veterans Today, Gordon Duff, and our caller, the Greek from Tucson. So let's go ahead, gentlemen.
Thanks. The point here was America needs a mythology, just as the Greeks had Prometheus bring fire from the gods. We've gotten our fire from the gods through the aliens. Now, one more last point here. If there are such brilliant scientists tucked away in such top-secret projects, and if you folks have access to them, please ask them the question. Ask them the question, why does a bucket of water weigh more than a bucket of air? When oxygen is 16 and hydrogen is 1, so H2O should weigh 18, yet the average molecular weight of air is 29. It's really phenomenal how there's allegedly this really rapid moving electron around its fat and lazy cousins, the proton and the neutron, and what's fueling the electron? Where's the rocket? Where's the reciprocating motor fueling the electron? Could it be polarity? So these are very basic questions. When you heat or cool...
Let me jump in for a second. One of the big areas of denial is that unified field theory was broken by Tesla long ago, and that Einstein's theoretical efforts in that area all through the 30s onward were bullshit.
Right.
If I can say that on radio, I don't know. The FCC is going to send me a bad note. I can see it coming.
Are you talking about the Einstein that plagiarized Lorentz from 1903?
That one, yeah, it's the one.
And he also plagiarized Poincaré.
Well, here, this is my parting shot, Gordon. I have a question. When you heat or cool a room indoors, whether it's winter or summer, the heat always goes to the ceiling and the cold always goes to the floor. So thus you have a hot head and cold feet all year round. But in nature, when it's hot in the valley, you go up to the mountain to cool off. And if you do an airplane and go towards the sun, which is allegedly a heat source, it gets even colder. So could it be that in nature heat goes down and cold is verified and it rises? Very interesting point. There's so many questions to ask that there's no need for academia to purvey their wares and be accepted as gospel. For example, you notice how they're always adding elements on the ass end of the periodic table, the big heavy ones, but they're never adding anything above hydrogen? Interesting, isn't it?
Well, my own knowledge of fission here, of course, we're operating within what we believe to be the limitations of the fission production of the sun. And the problem, of course, that CERN has presented us with is that our knowledge of fission was predicated on the fact that the speed of light was an absolute, and we are no longer there. That changed all the rules.
Perhaps light doesn't travel at all, that it's just being reproduced through the fluid medium.
Then of course then we have that's theoretical quantum physics. Or perhaps there's
point
only
here
one
is-
electron.
Because the point here is this, there's talk about the end times. Could it be that it already ended about a decade and a half ago, and now you're just in the credit portions of the movie? And what's interesting about the credits is that everyone shows up again for one last time, and not only that, even the folks that you never saw on the screen. Could it
Then
be?
you're talking about the list of Adrian Messenger. I saw that movie. Yes.
Okay. Anyway, I got to keep this moving. We're running out of time. Do you have any closing comment for Gordon here, Greek? Hello?
Yeah, thanks very much. See you again.
Hey, thank you very much.
We got another person here to pull in?
We have another person. We have Remick from Texas. Remick, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Remick, haven't heard from you in days now.
Hi, Gordon.
Hi.
First, I want to applaud you guys and the work that you do at Veterans Today, and I'll rant for a few seconds here. I am so fed up with when I try and spread the news that you guys are trying to get out, and I get hit with these whiny people that just want to attack. Well, they said something bad about me, so I'm not going to participate. Or they put out a lie, or they're lying here, or Jordan said this was disinformation. I am so sick and tired of people who want to be spoon-fed a frickin' script instead of applying critical thinking and networking and team building and being part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. I am so tired of conflict, and you guys have touched on a lot of great subjects today, and I like that we're walking this line in between these two worlds. We've got hardcore tech and military news, and then we've got the metaphysical aspect and consciousness coming into play as well.
Well, that's what
I do my best to navigate. Go ahead.
Remick, that's what a warrior's supposed to be. That's what we were always supposed to be. That we were all supposed to be warrior priests. Now that so many of us are worshipers of Odin and not the more acceptable religions, people are going to have to get used to. As for those that you're pointing out, I think all of the internet people, and you could list certainly 50 of them, but their 15 minutes is long over with. Not only do we pay no attention to them, while they're whining and moaning, we now run what is one of the 5 largest news sources in the world, while they're spinning their wheels. We just move forward because we're doing the work. We're not here to talk about it. The internet people, and this is simply it. We have to draw. This is part of what we're doing here right now. We're drawing a line between the real people, and this is what we have for listeners, as we're noticing. We're people here. We're ready to take on the hard questions. We're ready to act and solve these problems. And those people that are that was just as soon send emails back and forth and watch Fox News. I'll tell you, when it's time to start feeding shish kebabs to the little green men, you're going first. And Michael, jump in here.
I'm here. I'm just listening. I didn't want to step on your action here. You're doing a good job with Remick, and
but you're one of the kids.
Like I said, I'm really glad to have you guys, and I'm so grateful for your bravery and your efforts at trying to get as much out as you can. And I just want to plead with the public to just use critical thinking and be constructive, and let's make progress, and let's work for the greater good instead of this infighting and speculating. And one of the callers talked about the necessity of preparing, and that comes into play. We've got to network locally and spend enough time with you guys and then work locally as well. I'm doing my best, and I need help.
Now, Remick, let me remind you of this, though, okay? The public are real people. The public aren't 24 morons that send out thousands of emails today, where half of them are either, frankly, employed by those causing the problems, or people who are malignant narcissists, and we can make that certainly that list. What they're here for, they're here to dominate our time, and what I'm telling you is leave them behind, block their emails. There are those of us who are here to be counted, and those others, they're not the public. And as far as convincing the public, whoever is out there, they will come with us when they're ready. They'll come with us when it feels right to them. It's time we all started trusting our guts. And either what we're saying or doing here, either it's going to touch something in people's hearts or it's not. And if it does, they can come with us. And if it doesn't, they're not ready. It's not for us to sell anything. We've got no product here. I don't need anyone to send money. I don't want anyone to sign up on board. But those that are ready, and we've heard so many of them today, those people that are ready to come with us, we have a place for them. And that's the point. That we have a home.
Well said.
Michael.
That's very well said. Thank you. That's great. That's great. I continue to do my best to facilitate, good connections and continue to get word out. So thanks again for everything. I'm glad I got to get on and interact with you guys directly. I'll go ahead and hang up because I know we're near the end of the show. I can't wait for yesterday's show to be archived. It's still not up. I want to listen to it again so bad.
Okay, well, I'll prompt management about that as soon as we get off the air here. Remick, thank you very much. So Gordon, what do you want to do here for the next couple of minutes? What do you want to leave the listeners with? What point do you want them to?
Well, first of all, we're destroying the line between the listeners and us. We're all on the arc here. That's what we're saying. I'm saying that we are willing to listen. Everyone here, and I know who we're reaching. And those who weren't on the show and who weren't able to talk, or those who missed the show, those who are out there, make sure that this archive is found. We're going to put it on YouTube. We want it to get out there, and I want all of you on board with us, not to talk, not to whine. We have work to do, and we're going to do the work, and we don't need the public, and we don't need the government.
Well, I just got a message from management here that the archive from yesterday is now up, so please help yourself. If you want to go listen to it, Remick or anyone else out there, it is now up on the Rinse Radio site, so go help yourself. Gordon, I want to thank you again. I've never done the same guest 2 days back-to-back, but it's certainly been a great experiment and very successful, so thank you very much for coming twice.
And I want to thank the callers.
Well, the callers are great. That they really are. You really do have a good point. We don't exist without them, and that's why we're here, is to be able to reach these people and let them reach us too. It works both ways.